Now it's time for desktop discussions.
In my keynotes and in my workshops, I sometimes ask people about the movie Black Panther. Now, I don't know if you've seen it, but if you have, I would ask you, what does your Wakanda look like? And I pause, and I normally wait for a response, and I ask them, what was Wakanda in the movie Black Panther? And, some people say, oh, yeah, I saw it. But Wakanda was a place that was really separate from the outside world. So as I talk about what's so hard about being you, in some respects, you have to have a discipline about yourself that's different than other people. It's different than the outside world. Hey, folks, I want to talk to you about a topic that, a lot of people seem to really like, but it's so apparent in how it relates to who we are. I'm talking about you, and I'm talking about me. And if you're a person that maybe has a problem getting along with people, or you don't understand why you're so different than people, there's a lot of reasons. And sometimes we just don't know how to look deeper into who we are, or deeper into some of those interactions to make sense of, this is why I am the way I am. And if that sounds kind of crazy or sounds like something you can identify with, I'm sure that this episode will be perfect for you. So what's so hard about being you? Well, the truth of the matter is, just like the previous video you may have seen, Radiate the Brain and Change the Game, what's so hard about being you is part of a book series. And you see that right here on the wall, what's so hard about being you, Radiate the Brain and Change the Game, and Aligned by Design, and After the Diagnosis. They're all part of the same book series that talks about mindset. So one of the things you need to understand, that whether it's personally, professionally, socially, spiritually, recreationally, we all have bit into or bought into, probably both, bit into and bought into the mindset that things are supposed to be a certain way. And the reason why we have, adopted those thoughts in many cases is because that's what society has sold to us. They've sold it to through movies, they've sold it through commercials, they've sold it through music and advertisements. And we watch these things as entertainment, as educational, but we figure because someone is showing you, as they say, like in television, tell a lie to your vision. They showed you how they wanted you to see things. They showed you how they felt things were. In some cases, maybe a lot, those things were, if not true, pretty close to how they are. But once again, you have to realize that we are all different. There are different stimuli that get our interest, that spark us and spark our attention, that motivate or move us into taking certain actions. And if you have been motivated by a commercial about fun or food, well, maybe that has also triggered how you feel about what fun really is and what food is. To me, this is a good example. So when you look at that right there, what's so hard about being you? I call it the lie. And I call it the lie because we have been formatted, we have been taught to look at things a very particular way. And I don't care what it is. Even when you listen to the news, the way the news is broadcast, the word selection, their vocabulary, it creates a certain drama and sometimes trauma in how you see things and how you depict that story. So understand that there really may not be anything wrong with you. You just may be different because we all are different. We all are aligned differently based on our personality characteristics, preferences, temperaments, etc., etc. So if you're different, that's all it is, different. Now, is different good or bad? It depends on who you ask and how you get along with other people, that they come to a opinion about if you're being different is good or bad compared with what they like, which is what? Preference. So let's move on. I took some notes, and some of these notes are based on the book. Let me show you the book. Hold on. Oh, where's the book at? Here we go. Some of these preferences, they're right in the book, What's So Hard About Being You? And again, this book, I had a testimony from Jane Atkins, which is one of the big speaker coaches. So what can I say? I've been very fortunate to have some of the top industry leaders do forwards, share testimonies for my book and my philosophies of what I teach as it relates to mindset. Now, sometimes we take life for granted. And when I look at that, I look at faith and belief. If you're just living day by day without a plan, without a goal, okay, sure, you can do that, but here's the rub. If you're trying to achieve a particular milestone in life, you should have a plan. You should have a goal. Whether you're a musician, a speaker, a carpenter, whatever it may be, there should be a goal. Just think about it. You know, when you're going from day to day without a goal or without a plan, who knows what could happen? You surely don't, right? So when you have belief, which is what I talk about in the book, that means that you understand and you have a feeling, a sensation, a mindset that says, no matter what happens, I'm going to do this thing or live my life a particular way until I get certain results, or believing that the way I go about living my life will turn out in a specific way. For me, it was just believing and knowing that there is a God, there is something bigger than me that will protect me, and that my dreams, wishes, and or desires would come to fruition.
Hey folks, Sir Charles Carey here. You know, most people that are watching this content may not even be subscribers. Do me a huge favor and subscribe to our channel, share it, and like it. You know, all the things that most people are asking you to do. Now, if you really like what you're getting here, please go to our website. The link will be in the description so that we can give you something free. No obligation. It'll either be the 3 peak tips or a structured breakdown so that you can take advantage of it. And again, there's no obligation. As we continue to build the channel, look for new subscribers and look for the opportunity to pour into other people. We know there is massive value. I've been doing this for quite some time, and all I really want to do with my life is more of the same.
Now, of course, you can take it a little further by saying, my dreams, wishes, and desires will take me to an world-renowned status, okay? Now, that's possible if your belief is strong enough. And you know what? This is the funny thing. Belief is one thing, but you still have to do the actual work. And many of us, you know, we do have belief and we do have faith, because faith is also a part of it, but we don't always put our best foot forward. And putting your best foot forward is doing the actual work. And it's not just the action of a thing, it's the learning about a thing. It's the understanding about a thing that helps you and helps your belief make these thoughts, desires, dreams, wishes become real. Without that, you really don't have the possibility of really landing things in life the way you want. Now, don't get me wrong. It can still happen, but it's less likely to happen without you doing your part. And your part is doing the actual work. So let's talk about being relaxed or lazy, right? Now, I tell people a lot, and I've said this time and time again, and people tell me that I'm crazy, I say that I'm lazy. And I know that there are people that can run circles around me. I'm not lazy because people can run circles around me. I'm lazy because I know within myself that I could do more. I know that within myself, I have the time to do more. I know that within myself, I could be better rehearsed, whether I'm speaking or whether I'm doing music. I know that within myself, sometimes I allow myself to say, I don't feel like it, and then I just don't do it. That's the lazy factor. Now, the relaxed factor is simply that there are times when you do need to, take off. You do need to not work so hard. You do need to have time to reflect. You do need to recalibrate, relax, refresh, restore, all these things. And they are important so that when your battery is recharged and you go back out there to do your thing, whatever it is, you can do it to the fullest. You can give people all that they need, all that they may have paid for. You can give them the full energy and teach the lesson to the utmost. However, if you're not really doing all that you can do, as I mentioned before, as far as having the belief and learning the lessons, you're not going to be able to really give people all that you possibly can. And that, my friend, is a true problem, especially if you are in business. Now, in a job scenario, it's probably a little less intense. It's less intense because it's not your company. You don't have to worry about payroll. You don't have to worry about having the lights turned on, right? You're going somewhere to report and doing your job, whatever that task is. But when it's your own business and you're an entrepreneur, you're pretty much responsible from the beginning to the end with almost every facet, even if you do have a team, because at some point you're going to have to overlook what the team has done so that you can move on to the next phase. So let's move on. Now, limiting belief. In the previous video, I talked about the need of acceptance. And the need of acceptance is simply wanting approval from other people. And it's not a wrong thing. It's just not helpful. And if you rely too much on the need of acceptance of other people, it's not healthy. You see, you have to have the mindset that you can do whatever it is that you want to do or whatever it is that you need to do. And it can be really difficult to do those things if you have a high need of acceptance. And some people say it's called, call a thing, right? You have low self-esteem. Sometimes low self-esteem will make you look for approval in other people as you're living your life. Doesn't matter what the task, it could be personal, it could be on a professional level, even social. If you're looking for approval to have fun socially, I would tend to say that might be a problem. And I spoke about low self-esteem, and to be quite frank with you, low self-esteem, limiting beliefs, not having faith, not having belief, they're all coupled and crammed into the same category. And the problem with it, if it becomes too consistent, that you're always doubting yourself, you don't believe in yourself, you don't have faith in yourself, you have a very low self-esteem. The problem with that is that it prevents you from being all that you can be. It prevents you from having the opportunity of really reaching those higher levels in life. And the goal is to reach the higher levels, to become someone and something that others can look to, that others can learn from. If you don't have those mindsets that are strengthened, healthy lifestyle, high self-esteem, at least not extremely high, at least moderately high, if you don't have a belief system, you don't have faith, right? It makes it difficult for you to achieve your goal, and it makes it difficult for you to encourage or delegate other people to do things that you want or that you need them to do. Now, in my keynotes and in my workshops, I sometimes ask people about the movie Black Panther. Now, I don't know if you've seen it, but if you have, I would ask you, what does your Wakanda look like? And I pause, and I normally wait for a response, and I ask them, what was Wakanda in the movie Black Panther? And, some people say, oh, yeah, I saw it. But Wakanda was a place that was really separate from the outside world. So as I talk about what's so hard about being you, in some respects, you have to have a discipline about yourself that's different than other people. It's different than the outside world. It's different than the normal thinking. Now, Wakanda was a place of refuge, right? They were high with their technology. They did not want to share what they were doing with the outside world because they did not want it to be perverted. They did not want it to come under attack. They did not want their way of life to be taken and used by the outsiders because they had peace from within. Their technology was growing. They were doing things that the outside world probably was not ready for, in a way of speaking. Now, what was their power source? That would be the next question. Their power source was vibranium. Now, everyone didn't have the vibranium, only the leader, the Black Panther. And I would say you are the Black Panther in your life. You are the one that needs the power source to achieve your goal. And if you have the power source, you're probably a good leader. You're probably a leader of faith. You're probably a leader with a healthy self-esteem. And if you have the vibranium, right, for yourself, then you probably can walk proud, shoulders back, chest out, head up high, going to achieve your goal. And that's what it's like in the real world. You have to sometimes separate yourself from the way other people think, the way other people behave, and then you carry yourself in a manner that allows you the ability to achieve your goal. But if you're like most people, sometimes you may find it difficult to aspire to a higher level in something because a lot of people are just living from day to day. And it has been said that younger people literally live for the day. So that means that they're not really planning. And if they're not planning, they're not considering a future. I know that there are a lot of people, young people, that do have goals. They're doing things in technology. They're doing things with AI. They're doing things on all levels. But then there are a great number of people, the masses, that are not doing those same types of things. And if you spend time with those people, it's a good chance that you will not achieve your goal. Now, it has been also said, look at the 5 people that you spend most of the time with. And that's an indication of how much money you will make, what your status will be in the next 5 to 10 years. So sometimes we have to change our associations so that we can become the person ultimately that we would like to be. And here's the thing. Sometimes we don't always know who that person is. The person within, what you're fully capable of. And you may decide to change your direction as you live, as you grow, and as you have different life experience. You may decide to change your direction as you're living, as you're growing, as you're learning, as you're having various experiences. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you don't want to go from thought to thought or changing from thing to thing. You want to be as thorough as you possibly can on your growth walk or your growth pattern so that you can achieve your goals. So when someone says, what's so hard about being you? I think we don't realize that many times it does take a lot to understand ourselves And it does take a lot to really be on course or on track with hitting our goal, going where we need to be, more importantly. Now, some people will say, well, I'm fine where I'm at. Okay, that is a choice. But if you know you want more or you need more, you really have to examine yourself so that you can bring that possibility to life. Make that something that's very real. And that's why I wrote this book. And again, just like the other book, Radiate the Brain and Change the Game, a lot of people have told me simply, I see myself in your writing. And it's such a proud feeling to know that people can read your words, understand your philosophy, and realize how much that actually helps them. You know, I've helped tons of people, especially in the government arenas, the government agencies, facilities, and it is just amazing how many of us have been on that same hamster wheel. We just follow tradition and don't do anything outside of what we've been told or what we've been taught. And that's a problem. You know, when you become a certain age, you should be willing to stretch yourself, stretch your mindset, stretch your thought patterns on what's real, what's helpful, and what is not helpful, so that you can get the results that you really want. And if it sounds like I'm saying the same thing from different points I'm making, well, that's one of the best ways of learning, folks. Sometimes you have to hear the same thing different ways, or you have to hear the same thing over and over again before it really sinks in, because it may not sink in the first time we hear something. So, with that being said, I'm really just looking for 5 or 10 people that really want to create change in their lives. I'd like to have a discovery call with you and take you on the process of how you can become the best version of you. But before that can happen, you have to be ready, willing, and able to invest your time and invest in yourself in a manner that you get a return on what you expect. And you have to be willing to commit to you. Because you see, when I wrote my books, at first it was about, wow, great, I'm writing a book. But what I realized was that it wasn't about me. It was coming through me, but for the benefit of others. And that's where you really realize that you're trying to fulfill your life's promise or your life's mission. When you start doing things just for your own accolades or just for your own enjoyment, and you're thinking about other people, it does not get better than that. It does not matter what industry. That mindset alone will take you so far. I don't care if it's accounting, if it's teaching, if it's becoming an author, if it's a musician, an electrician. When you really are focused on how can I help people get what they need out of a thing, then I personally think you're on the right track. So as I always say, you got to be willing to radiate the brain and change the game. Contact me and let me know exactly how I can be of service to you.